Force Science is an organization dedicated to the safety of the community, the safety of the citizens, and the safety of the officers, using scientific assessment, evidence-based assessment on what it is that officers need to do, the types of circumstances they're in, the types of training we need to do to help prepare them for that, which then leads to great investigations and great decision-making on the part of the officer. Law enforcement is a diagnostic assessment skill. And unless we understand that and build the skills to the foundational level and spend the largest amount of time in the academy on decision-making and the correct reading of circumstance, we will get little change in the profession. We're looking for social change. We're looking for better relationships with the community. And that lays on how we teach the officer to be skillful and to understand and read the encounter. One of the things that's really important to us is that however officer behavior is understood, it's understood not only from the point of view of law and policy, which is really important, but also from the point of view of the parameters of human behavior.
Attorneys are not thinking about things like the officer's attention and how that's impacted by various stimulus, how it's impacted by emotion, how it's impacted by light and angles, and how it's impacted by distractions around them. Force science looks at the impact of all of those various forces on an officer and determines how is that going to affect an officer's threat perception and ability to respond to that threat. That's the exact kind of information that an attorney needs before they can make an honest evaluation of a police officer's decision.
To all units, proceed to your post assignments. All units, proceed to your post assignments.
That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
Yeah, baby. It's episode 26 of Probable Cause on April 7th, 2026. Jeff Norman and the FBI whistleblower himself, Greg Dillon, with you as we always are on Tuesday nights. Good evening, Greg. Nice to see you.
Evening.
And our special guest for the second week in a row. This is the first time we've had return guests before, but never 2 weeks in a row. So this is the man who put the word special in special guest, Von Kliem. As we said last week, he is a nationally recognized expert in use of force and constitutional policing with over 30 years of experience in the criminal justice system. He's been a cop, an attorney, an educator, an author, and he is the president and chief consulting officer at Force Science. And we gave you a sneak peek at the sort of services and training that they provide in that opening video. And Von is also our hero. He is filling in for our previously scheduled guest. Some of you may have noticed that Peter Tickton had been advertised to join us tonight. He is the attorney for Tina Peters, who is currently incarcerated for 9 years. Hopefully it won't turn out to be 9 years. Anyway, Peter had a scheduling issue come up on his end, so we're going to have him maybe next week or sometime soon. Von, thanks for joining us in short notice. We had a good time with you last week. How are you? You're in, where are you? Do you want to say where you are?
Yeah, no, I'm in Nashville. I'm at the Axon Conference. I'm getting ready to teach tomorrow a narratives on trial. So it's at the Legal Summit, and it's hopefully going to be a packed house of attorneys, and we're going to talk about what the strategies are that opposing counsel and their experts for hire are coming in and how they're indicting and convicting police and civilians using strategies that look nothing like traditional law and order. And so we're going to kind of put them on notice of what they can prepare for. And I will always tell them at the beginning, I promise you, you lack creativity in the ways these people are attacking officers' decisions. And I'll give them plenty of examples of that. So that's what I'm doing out here in Nashville. And tomorrow to Vegas, and then from Vegas to Dallas, and then from Dallas to LA. So I'm on a speaking tour right now, and it's a whirlwind.
Von, just a question: is this geared toward civil or criminal proceedings, or both?
It's both. Yeah, it's civilian and police, and it's criminal and civil. And criminal should terrify you because I mean, it used to be the arguments in civil, it's just about money, and it's usually other people's money, right? So
Mhm,
there's it
mhm.
advances the question, and it you get some fun conversations. And I always say civil litigation is where the concept of reasonableness crystallizes, right? We have those debates, discussions, and the court comes back and says, okay, well, this officer's fell within a range of reasonable options and this one's didn't. Well, that's how the profession learns, and that's how civilian populations learn. But because, as you know, the strength of qualified immunity, right, was protecting discretionary functions, was protecting those decisions that were made in tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving circumstances. Um, these experts, they were just academics, law professors and university professors, decided, well, we're going to have to figure out how to get around qualified immunity so that we can hold officers accountable. And what they mean by hold officers accountable isn't when the officer does something wrong. It's if the officer shoots somebody, they need to go to prison. They need to be found civilly liable because, in their estimation, the police did not do enough to avoid the shooting. And so they, in the late 2000s, this was just, academia, you were writing papers, and we were all kind of mildly entertained and interested in their ideas. But after that big tsunami post George Floyd's death, reform efforts, uh, there was zero pushback. And so all this progressive reform, all this academic stuff just got thrown into people's laws, state laws.
Yeah,
Uh,
it took place in Connecticut. I mean, we're suffering with that right now.
100%. And it almost went with no breaks. There was some of us that were, I was a senior policy attorney at Lexipol at the time who writes model policy for the country. And I mean, we were pulling on that emergency brake as hard as we could. There was just a couple of us because nobody wanted to be called racist. Nobody wanted to be pushing back against the George Floyd's death, causation issue. And so now we go into these jurisdictions and we're now dealing with the aftermath of that. They started taking these cases to avoid qualified immunity. They started taking the cases criminal because, as your audience may know, qualified immunity doesn't apply on the criminal side. So now they're taking their academic theories and they're full steam ahead in the criminal world, and there's just not enough of us to educate the jury. And like I was sharing with Jeff before we
Mhm.
went live, uh, one of the officers who was convicted last year under this theory, really, it was an illegal verdict, but he decided not to appeal it, and that's his decision. Was just paroled in less than a year, so he got a 6-year sentence. And what he did was shoot somebody while that person was actively trying to stab a police officer. So you didn't mishear me. He shot somebody who was actively trying to shoot a police officer.
Stab.
Yeah. What's that?
You said shoot a police officer, but I think you meant stabbed, right?
Stab. Yeah, exactly. He shot somebody who was actively trying to stab a police officer. Thank you. Yeah. And he sat next to me.
And he hit his intended target.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And he sat next to me. He goes, "I don't know what I did wrong." His undersheriff testified. He did exactly what we would have expected our deputy to do. I wouldn't have wanted him to do anything different. That sort of testimony. And he was still convicted because it was in Colorado. They have a very, very progressive agenda out there, and but he got paroled, so he's out now, and I'm looking forward to going sitting down with him and hear about his experience.
Yeah, in Connecticut, Vaughn, they reduced, or they didn't eliminate, but they passed legislation which drastically reduced qualified immunity for police officers' actions, where they're now can be held personally, civilly liable on these lawsuits. And what I've noticed, I was on the Brantford Police Department, so every week I subscribe to the police log activity, whatever, it's public information, and they send it out. And the department is bigger than ever. There's more people in the town than ever. And when I look at the arrest activity from week to week, I mean, I look at it every single week, and I realize they are making far less arrests than we were making with a smaller shift back in the 80s. And there's no way you can convince me that there is, less crime afoot, but nobody pulls over any cars. And therefore, I mean, it reminds me of the mentality of a fire department. You stay in the station and you wait until you get dispatched to a scene. And it seems as if the police departments have adopted that same approach. I'm going to park, and if I get sent to a call, I will respond. Otherwise, I'm going right back to my parking spot and, whatever. Look at my phone, read a newspaper, talk to the other squad car next to me. But no proactivity, no aggressive enforcement of motor vehicle laws, none of that. And it's a direct result, I'm sure, in my mind, that the town or city, mayors are telling the chiefs, you know what, we don't want to deal with the lawsuits, so just sort of take a passive approach to enforcement.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, that's one area I think where they learned is you can't get in trouble for doing nothing. Like, there's some police who don't realize that you don't have a duty to enforce the law. I mean, you have an ethical duty, but that's not enforceable. That's between you and God, right? There's, you might have a moral duty, but I remember at the Command and General Staff College, we studied a semester of ethics. Like, that's just meaningless. You can't define that really in an operational way. Make good ethical decisions, right? But what you can do is tell them, well, the law doesn't require you to answer a call or to enforce the law, because we owe a duty to society in general, the larger society, not to individuals. And so an individual doesn't get to sue you unless you've created a special relationship with that person. And that's, for your audience, you can imagine if I arrest somebody and I have them in handcuffs in my custody, then I do have a duty to protect them from their wife, who can't come over and just beat them in the head while I watch, right? There is a special relationship created. But outside of that, police have learned, if you don't want to get sued, don't enforce the law. Don't stop cars. Don't be proactive. Don't self-initiate. And, where it comes to stopping cars or not stopping cars, you have numbers. I mean, let the politicians look at the metrics. Let your leaders say, for the benefit we're getting for doing high visibility traffic enforcement in this area, it's not worth the pushback we're getting. We're not really achieving much, but we're losing a lot. Okay, that's a political decision. They get to make those, and then ideally they get to suffer the consequences of their bad decisions through voting. But when it comes to not enforcing criminal law, and you'll see jurisdictions that say, if a young black man's running from you with a gun, do not chase him, because we know at the point of capture there's a high likelihood of violence and a shooting. And if all you're trying to do from a progressive reform level, like social justice reform, is to reduce the number of young black men shot by police, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's a top-down, policy-driven way to do that. The trade-off, because politics is about risk benefits and trade-offs, or cost benefits and trade-offs, the trade-off then is watch and see what happens to crime rates. Watch and see what happens, and it's either going to be tenable or not. Well,
New Haven Police Department, for years they've had a policy. They were one of the first departments in Connecticut to have a no chase policy, where basically only under the most extreme circumstances, someone like firing from their car while they're driving, would they allow a pursuit. And then within just a couple of years ago, they entertained this idea of a no foot pursuit policy, because it was creating too many injuries on the job. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you might as well just all stay in the station and just go out to 911 calls, because you don't want actual enforcement. You just want a response.
Yeah.
Well, there is a solution. The solution is citizen arrests. While the police are just sitting around in their cars, citizens can go out and exercise their.
You love that citizen's arrest, Jeff.
I love it so much. I did my research. I had an idea as soon as I knew we were going to have Vaughn again. Thank you, Vaughn, for letting me push back and be the fake lawyer that I sometimes am last week. And I am now prepared to back it up. But,
All right.
Sorry, it was a little bit too last minute, so I didn't make the images as readable as I otherwise would have. But
you don't have a PowerPoint or anything, Jeff, for this?
No, I do have it. I do have it, but the images aren't as beautiful as I normally would have made them. But I can read it. So look at this is California. We talked last week about citizen arrest, and I was saying there's some very unusual. There's an unusual degree of authority that citizens have in California. So here's the 3 statutes that we have to consider together, as I see it. Tell me if you agree. The first one says that a private person can arrest another for a public offense. And I didn't even realize this until I looked at it closely today. It says must, not can or may, but must, without unnecessary delay, take the person arrested before a magistrate or deliver him or her to a peace officer. Okay, so that's the first of 3. And this one says a private person may arrest another for a public offense committed or attempted in his presence. If it's a felony, you don't even have to be in their presence, but anything less than a felony, it has to be in their presence. So then the question becomes, well, what's a public offense? And here we connect the dots. This is the statute that defines a public offense. It's a crime or public offense is an act committed or omitted in violation of a law forbidding or commanding it, and to which it's punishable by death, imprisonment, or a fine. So infractions fit the definition. And I will add to that, before you respond, that a court might be closed. So I don't know what to do if you want to drag somebody off to a court and they happen to be closed at the time. And I'll add one more thing to it. It doesn't say that a civilian can't arrest an officer. So I'm not saying that I endorse it. I'm not saying it's safe. I'm not recommending it. But tell me if you disagree that according to these 3 statutes considered together, if Greg were an officer, hypothetically in Los Angeles, and I saw him speeding or illegally parked when he wasn't responding to an emergency, maybe on a donut break or something, I could physically drag him off to either some police station or a courthouse.
In theory.
In theory, yes. Well, I probably wouldn't be able to overpower you because I'm a wimp and you are not. I'm just saying I would have the authority to do so. Did I or did I not interpret those statutes correctly?
Well, I'm going to be a great lawyer and say that I would want more time to look and see how the statutes have been interpreted by the courts to date, not by us, before someone takes me as giving legal advice on California law. No, I think you've got a great starting point, though, because I think it raises some great questions where it says we're a fine, right? And what I would look for is, do you guys distinguish in your state by definition? Go find one more definitional section, if you would. Infraction versus offense versus infraction versus an offense versus a crime. So to me, those might all neatly be summed up under the category of offense includes infractions because they're subsequent to fines, or crimes, right? So I would look for that definitional section first. And then I would look to see how the courts interpret it already, because the statute may only have been found constitutional in light of a court's interpretation of it, which I don't have in front of me. So that would be my second line of question. And as for arresting an officer, what was the officer doing that he was arrested for?
Well, in my hypothetical, I was trying to make the point that it could be some very minor infraction. So, and I know that an officer is not in California required to comply with the vehicle code when responding to an emergency, but otherwise is required. So that was my hypothetical. Maybe he was double parked, maybe he was speeding, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I would stay so far away from that one. Like, I wouldn't.
Like I said, I'm not recommending, but my eyes popped out of my head when I saw that. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, that's a lot of authority that you can drag somebody off to a police station or to a courthouse.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, again, what the next layer I would be looking at, the questions I'd be asking is, there's some jurisdictions that, again, say you have to be reasonable in your determinations. Other ones say you have to be right. And so it said, I think there was a section part of the come out, basically, if a police officer is the one doing it, they shall not have civil liability. I think it said some laws. That didn't say civilians, right? So if the civilian, the other danger is if the civilian doesn't understand.
All right, excuse me, Vaughn, but I was not saying anything at first because I was hoping it would stop, but your audio is distorting. What kind of a microphone are you using? Is it built-in or wireless or what is it?
Headset, yeah.
Oh, can you use a wired microphone? Do you have the option to do that, like the microphone on your computer, or I don't suppose you have a.
I can shut off and try to use the one on the computer.
Yeah, because it keeps cutting out. You're hearing that too, right, Greg? Yeah. Just talk amongst yourselves. When Vaughn comes back, we weren't planning to discuss this, but I don't know if he has any expertise in this area of the law, but it's hard to ignore that our beloved commander-in-chief has threatened to eradicate civilization in Iran tonight, right after this podcast. So
more
thank
hyperbole,
you.
More hyperbole.
Yeah, but I'm curious. I'm curious if that might be a war crime to make that threat. Vaughn, are you waiting? Your microphone is on mute. Are you doing something or waiting for us to get back to you? No, we don't hear you. Can you, when you go, if you go down below, you see the gear thing? Okay, click on that and then go to audio. And then where it says mic, pick a different mic, hopefully the one in your computer, and that should do it. You see what I'm talking about? And will it work? Let's see.
You caught me off guard.
Oh, we hear you. We hear you. Talk again.
All right. How's that?
Oh, good.
So far, so good. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay.
Perfect.
So you've got the built-in mic in the computer now? Okay, yeah, this is better. It was cutting out too much.
All right. Well, I don't have to wear
Darth Vader sound to it.
I don't have to wear the big puffy mouse ears either. So, okay.
All right. All right. Well, anyway, so to sum it up, you're saying, yes, I appear to be correct, but we can't say for sure. I did look to see if I could find any other definitions. I get what you're saying, and it's possible I overlooked it, but just so you know, I did look. But anyway.
It would be very curious because, you know, the starting point is that the police are supposed to have a monopoly on, it's wire. Tell them it's Bluetooth, whoever that comment was. So there was no mic to plug in, or headset to plug in. The starting point is the police are supposed to have that monopoly. We defer that authority to the police precisely so we don't get into these issues where individual citizens, while they start having to guess on what the law is and whether they do or don't have probable cause. And cops run into people all the time who like to test the limits of their constitutional rights. They will say silly things like, you know, I need your name and badge number. Like you give them a lawful order and they refuse to obey the lawful order until you give them your name and badge number, or I want your supervisor here. And then they sit there like they have a legal right to sit there until you bring your supervisor. All of these in most jurisdictions are arrestable offenses in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And Vaughn, does that get into the area of sovereign citizens? I've seen a lot of these videos where, you know, I am not driving, I'm traveling on the road, and therefore, you don't have the lawful authority to stop my vehicle, and they have these
It's God's law that counts, right?
They purchase these official looking nonsense license plates and attach them to their car and that type of a thing. Is that kind of getting into that area now?
Well, it's definitely that's even another level. Like I think just talking about what do our normal citizens who recognize and embrace their citizenship, what authorities do they have, let alone the ones who are claiming I don't fall under the citizenship or the authority or jurisdiction of this court, which is always funny as well.
The other thing we should mention is if somebody makes a citizen arrest, they could be sued for false arrest. And if they are, they're on their own to pay for an attorney, whereas the police would be taken care of by the whatever agency they work for. I think generally, right?
No, generally the agency doesn't cover the cop. They're usually, very frequently they are in opposition to each other. Now there's some, if the agency's interests align with the officer's interests, but remember the officer very quickly will say things like, well, this is what I was trained to do. Well, that almost always puts them at odds with the agency who provided the training, especially in civil cases where failure to train, negligent training, negligent hiring and retention all become part of the conversation fairly early. So the officers are frequently, not always, but frequently divorced from
I didn't realize that. I thought that they're covered by their department. What about Derek Chauvin? Did he pay for his own attorney, or did his police department? Do you know?
I don't think it was his agency, but he might have had. I don't know if he had FOP representation. A lot of them have insurance. They pay through U.S. Law Shield or FOP or PORAC. A lot of them have insurance policies for that. Some very good ones. But.
All right, so your time is limited. You mentioned you've got someplace to go in a while, so we should probably get to Has It Happened to Greg? Last week, when you were on with James from the Hartford Police Department, we decided to postpone our usual segment, Has It Happened to Greg, just because of how long it went, and it just sort of felt like we were complete. So tonight, we're going to do Has It Happened to Greg for the majority of the show. And Vaughn will hang with us and assess some of these videos. Okay, the first video made me think of something you posted, I think today on Facebook, Craig, about, was it bicyclists or motorcyclists running around causing havoc in North Haven, something like that I saw. Right. So this is a similar situation, but it was bicyclists in San Francisco. And look at how the police responded to this situation.
You see where you are right now? You're on a freeway.
On March 28, 2026, the California Highway Patrol notified the San Francisco Police Department of a large group of bicyclists in San Francisco who may be a part of a planned Bay Bridge takeover. Multiple CHP and SFPD units responded. SFPD's Real-Time Investigation Center conducted surveillance on the group, providing intel and updates. The large group of bicyclists then attempted to enter the Bay Bridge via the Harrison Street off-ramp against traffic. SFPD and CHP units were able to successfully stop the group before they entered the freeway, and again stopped them from going back onto San Francisco streets as they rode back down the off-ramp. The large group was detained, processed, and cited without incident. All bicycles were seized and stored by the CHP. 85 total citations were given, along with 85 bicycles stored.
I love this because I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and it was one of my pet peeves that the people protesting this and that would often close down the freeway. And I was like, why are you annoying people who have nothing to do with the issue that you're protesting? In this case, it doesn't look like they were protesting. It looks like they were just having fun or something to annoy people. But I don't know. I don't know which is worse, to do it for a protest or to do it for no reason at all. What did you guys think of the way that the cops handled it?
Go ahead, Vaughn. I mean, I loved it, but go right ahead.
Yeah, when you got to get so creative with something like that because it could get out of hand really fast, and it's actually really dangerous. Like because I'll just say this from a human performance standpoint, we drive our cars in traffic with a sort of baseline expectations of how traffic patterns are going to manifest. When you start injecting bicycles in there and sudden stops, and these are not things people expect, you're going to start seeing cars wrecked, last second braking. You're going to see these guys get run over by cars because we have a baseline understanding of traffic conditions and patterns. So I think from that standpoint, it's really important that they did get after it. The other thing I think about is if this was a protest, like you mentioned, sometimes they just want to take over highways. I think there's a lot of people who don't understand how illegal that is. They think it's a First Amendment right, and that there's no time, place, or manner restrictions on how you express your First Amendment. And so you start to see stuff like this, and I don't know where they were led to believe that this would have been okay. But the manner in which they stopped them, I mean, they're using their bicycles to deal with bicyclists. I think this is great. And the fact that they seized the bicycles, I love that as well, because all of that's well within the law. It's not extraordinary. They're like, yeah, well, here's how we're going to deal with this. Come get your bikes. You're not getting them today. Right. And you can hear some people thinking that might be unfair. Well, you're going to get a citation, and we're seizing the bike as evidence. And so, yeah, I thought it was from what we saw, I mean, it seemed like a pretty well executed plan.
Jeff, some of those were bicycles, some of those were e-bikes, and some of those are dirt bikes. They weren't all just, I know the media labeled it as bicyclists, but that's not true.
Eagle-Eye Dylan. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I couldn't tell if they were going back and forth between the police officers' bikes and these other guys' bikes, because some of these look like the police were responding, but yeah.
I'd made that point before what you said, Vaughn, that protesters think that they have a First Amendment right to do anything anywhere as long as they frame it as a protest, and they don't. And I think one of the reasons, especially in LA, I don't know about elsewhere, one of the reasons they think they can get away with it is because they usually do. So I like sending the signal, hey, you may not know it's illegal, but it is. Yeah. So you hate it. You hate this, Greg, right? No, you love it too.
Oh, I love what they did. I hate when I see our roadways being used by vehicles that are illegal on their face. I mean, this past weekend in North Haven. Well, you know North Haven, Jeff. I mean, it's not an urban area by any stretch. Right. But we're playing pickleball Saturday morning, and it's in a quiet neighborhood, and I see these four-wheeler quads driven by adults going all around the street. I mean, not just up and down, but down the street, down the next street, come back later on. And I'm thinking these are illegal vehicles that you can't have it on the road legally. And I never saw a police car in the hour that they were driving all over one time, and it's because they don't want to engage. They don't have they don't believe they have the support to try to stop one of these vehicles. And I understand the challenges of it because they'll go off road and then the pursuit ends. But they really have to they have to make a hard decision to say, look, we're going to go out and look at these vehicles, and we're going to use a drone. And we're just going to track them down until they have to garage it or try to hide it or whatever. And then we're going to seize the vehicle and arrest the operator and maybe even the owner of the vehicle.
All right. Well, here's another video that's actually very similar. This one's very brief. It also involves blocking the road and a civilian response to it. So I'm wondering, we don't see much to it, but it does bring up the issue of do the civilians just have to take it, or what can they do, if anything?
Others, look behind you. You gotta go to work. Get the fuck out the way. Get the fuck out the way. Go.
So, like I said, we don't see too much, but the guy rips their sign. That doesn't seem like it's much of a crime. And I don't know, I guess you can't intentionally run them over, but what can somebody do in a situation like that?
Well, Vaughn, I think you appreciate this. a lot of these protesters feel very comfortable challenging the police because the police have to be very tolerant in their response, rather subdued. And so therefore they're very predictable and non-threatening, actually. But the enraged civilian, they don't know what that person is capable of doing. And a lot of times they obey the civilian much quicker than they comply with the police officer who has the legal authority.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. They take advantage of the officers who, if they want to call these officers fascists or,
Nazis,
they don't actually believe that, or they wouldn't be behaving the way they are.
Correct.
It's just name calling. But I think you're right. I think they have a lot more faith in the long suffering and patience of the police officer than they would that civilian who's angry. And this what's really confusing or frustrating is, so you don't know which one of these are paid activists versus which ones were just brought up from their schools. I mean, I'm out in Fairfax County, Virginia, and we know these schools are training these kids to be activists, right? To oppose ICE and law enforcement. And, whether it's Fairfax or other schools, literally telling these kids that ICE are not police. I'm like, you're going to get these people hurt, right? Not only are they police, some of these are some really highly well-trained police. And I just walked through the airports when they were all taking care of the airports. I spent a lot of time in airports, and I don't think I walked past one ICE agent who didn't like a special operations officer. I mean, these guys were fit. They were, in their 30s. They were bright-eyed. They were motivated. They were super equipped, but they were engaging. I've seen some local law enforcement officers, particularly it was in Chicago. Now, I'm not degrading the Chicago police, but I came across a bunch of Chicago cops one day at the airport, and I thought they were homeless. I mean, I literally thought they were homeless people because of the way they were dressed. Their shirts were untucked and
it's like a pirate ship.
Yeah. So to the point is, you don't know who you're going to get, but there are some really, these cops are not trained. These cops are being forced to stand there and take this, and the activists know it. The officers are trained. The other thing is if you understand the game that's being played, and there's a playbook, this stuff's written down. You can get the training manual. These are, when they say you got to de-escalate, this is why when we're training cops in this concept of de-escalation, you don't de-escalate a cognitive aggressor where violence is the point. The engagement, the violence, the arrest, the photo opportunity is the entire point. They are trained to get arrested. They're trained to send old people in, children in, women in, because if the police then take enforcement action, there's your photo op, and they'll leave it all out of context. They'll leave out the fact that these were paid protesters and paid activists looking for the propaganda film, the propaganda thing. And so the cops know this. And so they're like, well, there's no win. There's no win in those situations.
All right, but what about my question, guys? What can a civilian do, if anything? In other words, the person who's being inconvenienced, what can they do in response?
Well, honestly, to a traffic infraction, like these people are blocking traffic. It goes to your question. Can a civilian use citizens arrest authority to prevent the ongoing traffic infraction, or they got to call the police? I mean, I was not going to use this as another opportunity to press my love of citizen arrest. I was more asking if any sort of force can be used. I mean, we saw a modest amount of force in that video. So was that okay? I mean, can you push your way through? Can you kind of drive at 2 miles per hour as long as you don't run them over? I mean, what if anything can you do? What do you advise? So here's I want to pull people into the deep water, because from the attorney standpoint, it does depend. It depends because there are cases where they surround your car or rip you out and hit you in the head with bricks, a la Reginald Denning, right? Back after the LA riots, Reggie Denning. Yeah. There are a lot more cases than that. If they are engaged in sufficient conduct that would rise to a level of unlawful restraint of you, then you 100% can use a reasonable amount of force to overcome that unlawful restraint. If it's becoming to the point where now it's an aggravated assault because of the numbers of people and they're beating on your car, is it reasonable for you to believe you're in threat of death or serious bodily injury? In which case you can use a reasonable amount of force to overcome that resistance, to make your escape. That's when I start seeing cases where they're rocking the car, they've already pulled people out, they're starting to punch through the windows. There's a much stronger case then for driving through, right? But if it's something like this, where they're holding hands across an intersection, I'm not going to say you drive through them, right? I'm saying in that case, you find an alternative route. So it is so heavily fact dependent. I'd be crazy to give any sort of, one size fits all. But once you see what they do when they drag you out, you're pretty quick. If you're the driver of that car, like, no, I'm not getting stuck here. You've seen cases of that where people hit the accelerator and like, there's 1,000 of you and one of me, and I'm not staying. And that's not a unreasonable.
Well, anybody could always claim they fear for their life, but is it reasonable? I hear is what you're saying, but it's just so frustrating because maybe you don't fear them, but you need to get somewhere, right? I mean,
Well, we don't.
You say take another route, but once you're stuck in it, you can't really, right? Everybody's backed up behind you,
Yeah, the unlawful restraint though is where you're getting. I think that's where you're getting, and I would look to see this clearly civil stuff. There's tortious interference with employment. There's all sorts of intentional infliction of emotional distress. I think those people really ought to start filming and then suing, because I do think you have a very strong case if they're interfering with your ability to get to work or get home, or you have unique circumstances where maybe
but you have to go through a lot of effort to sue for what, a day's pay?
No, I think you'll get much more than that for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Oh, okay.
I mean, think about it. You can't have sex with your wife again because it's constantly playing in your head. So you've got interference with marital relations, and you've got,
of course,
because we're going to get creative on this one.
You're no longer sleeping. You're no longer,
depression, anxiety, nervousness.
Lay it on thick. I would say like $3 million in damages for the. Vaughn's on mute too because he's coughing, I think is the reason. All right, let's go on to the next video while Vaughn recovers.
The police department just has to be more aggressive in their response. They can't just idly stand by and watch this take place. They have to go out there and start physically removing these people, as soon as it gets to that point.
All right, this next one,
those prosecutors need to back their play like hard and fast. Hard and fast. And I tell you what police officers like. A police officer is so much less likely to engage in any force as a result of frustration or anger. If they know they're watching somebody who every second they continue to resist is going to prison or going to jail for 30 days. There's just a lot of comfort in knowing, hey, my prosecutor is going to get you in jail for 30 days. I don't have to get mad or frustrated because I've got strong support. It's when they start feeling isolated and helpless out there that you get those high levels of frustration and in everybody involved, civilian or
no bonds, no punishment afterwards, and you're right, it wears them down.
All right. I'm pretty sure after you guys see this next video, you will agree that this is not an example of good policing.
Listen, look. Don't tell them nothing. Don't say shit. Damn. Fucking God, this is live. They don't even see. They don't even see. They gonna kill her. They gonna beat. Look. Look. Y'all seen it live. This is live. Oh my God.
Sleep at the wheel.
They didn't see this, bro.
The arrestee. Not there. All right. I'm an idiot, but I know you're not supposed to leave the window open, at least not wide enough to get out. Am I right?
I mean, zero situational awareness there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what across. I mean, again, it's what I don't call it a tactical decision, but it's all risk, benefits, and trade offs. And I don't know how hot it was. You roll the window up and leave her in a hot car, you're in trouble. You roll it down too far, she slips out, and you're like. But you got to admit.
Well, don't the cars have air conditioning?
Yeah.
What's that?
Don't the cars have air conditioning?
Well, some do, yeah. If you got them running, and that's the other thing. You want to leave the car running, and then they steal your car. I don't know what kind of a cage it had. Where's that at?
It's somewhere in Michigan. I don't know where.
Oh, yeah.
Something or other, something Heights.
Yeah, here's where cops get in trouble for trying to be halfway decent human beings, right? They leave the window down for the lady so she could probably talk to him through the window and have some air, and she takes advantage of it. And I would just ask him, have you ever left a window down before? And they're like, yeah, we do it all the time, and nobody jumps out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but you just leave all four windows cracked 3 inches, and then there's plenty of air, and there's no chance of her getting out. I mean, it's not a hard workaround.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Let's see what else. Oh, I'm sure that you both have encountered a lot of lying because people don't want to be arrested. They don't want to go to prison. So frequently they lie. And I'm wondering if you've ever seen a worse liar than this woman. You guys have seen it a lot. I haven't. But to me, this person, I think I might nominate her for the world's worst liar.
Cannot be driving, ma'am. What are you doing? Come on.
I'm not driving. I'm a passenger in a car.
You're still not. I'm not hearing cases with people driving or as passengers in cars.
Okay, I will pull over right now.
Short of us coming out to everybody's house and doing these on boats and stuff in the summer, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I have an emergency. I'm going out of town for a family member, but I will have my driver pull over. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry. I didn't know that I wasn't allowed to be in a car, but hang on 1 second.
Am I crazy, or does it not look like you're driving that car?
I'm not driving the car. I'm a passenger in the car, sir.
What side of the car are you on?
An English car,
on
right?
the left-hand side.
How would you be on the left-hand side if you're a passenger in the front seat? Am I missing something?
Right-hand side. I'm sorry. I've been sitting in a room. I didn't know.
Yeah, the seatbelt's coming off of the driver's side. Right? Now you're lying to me, right?
No, I'm not, sir.
Never show you the driver.
Let me see the driver. Let me see the driver.
Hang on 1 second.
Now.
I have to ask their permission.
Now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's their permission. You can give yourself permission, darling.
Oh, you're not in the you weren't in the driver's side. You think I'm that stupid? I'm going to go ahead and enter a default judgment. Our paperwork says that we can't that they can't drive. Does it not, Jennifer?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I took a breath in and started choking. Well, I missed what
Does
you
our
said.
paperwork not tell people that they can't be in a car?
I don't know, Your Honor. I'd have to look at it again. I haven't looked at it in a while.
Looking at it does not say that I cannot be in a car.
I'm entering a default judgment. You lied to me. Judgment 1921-85. Send me your counsel and put in there defendant was not available at the time and then was driving a car and telling the court she was not. I'm entering a default judgment. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Aunt.
I signed in at 1:30, sir.
Well, you got an attitude with you. I'll tell you that. You got an attitude. I'm not putting up with it. Nonsense. Good luck to you.
All right. Is she a candidate for the world's worst liar or what?
I loved how the eyes shot to the side when he said, "Show me the driver."
Yeah, I don't think she was a bad liar. I think that imagine it without the video. She sounded compelling, right? She was a great liar.
But there was video. That's why she's the world's worst liar.
I thought she was confident. She stuck to her story. I'm going to defend this woman's ability to lie. Now her situational awareness.
Well, I'll defend her actually on one point, because the judge said he wasn't sure if the paperwork says they're not allowed to communicate while in a car. He asked whatever the clerk or whatever in the court. She said she didn't know. So if there's no such requirement, is it proper for the judge to make the ruling he made just because she lied to him? Isn't lying a separate issue?
Well, lying is a separate issue. Yeah, I would say that's contempt of court. I don't
or
know
perjury
at that point.
Yeah. While you're driving. No, I didn't raise my right hand to swear, and I was making a right turn.
She'd have to be on the road for that to be perjury.
Yeah. I don't know because I've testified from cars before and literally pulled over, raise your right hand. You're not supposed to do it while driving, but I've certainly been in cars where I've had to give statements. And I've had witnesses as an attorney who were in cars. I just asked them to find a place to pull over because we'd wanted to swear them in to give their testimony. So believe it or not, that's not that unusual, but you don't get to lie about it. And I did laugh. I like his clerk. She's like, "I'm sorry, I was swallowing." I'm like, "No, she's rolling on the floor laughing is what she was doing." Trying to is
that what she said? She was swallowing,
coughing, or swallowing, or something, right?
Yeah. But you can't hear anything. Oh, maybe she meant she couldn't answer right away or something. Okay.
Yeah, because she was laughing and she was trying to compose herself.
All right, this next situation's a little different, but it's sort of fitting with our concept here. This was a Facebook dispute I got into in a food group, a local food group. Somebody had a dispute with a food truck. And rather than have me explain it, let's turn to the wonderful world of AI to probably say it more concisely than I would say it. So you're welcome to everybody for sparing you me blabbing about it.
This is a post from Marwan Ahmed detailing a highly disappointing experience at a food truck called Halal Express. Issues included missing items, cold and old meat, and an inedible chip bag. Upon requesting a refund, the interaction with the employee escalated. The employee refused the refund and became verbally abusive, even after the police were called. The customer's primary concern was the principle of the situation and how customers were treated. In the comments, Jeff Norman questioned whether a refund issue was a police matter and what law was violated. Marwan Ahmed clarified that the business took the bad food and refused a refund, then closed the window and ignored them. Jeff Norman suggested the issue was a civil matter, not a crime, and asked if the officer actually ordered the refund or if it resulted from a conversation. Cody Ford countered, stating that taking the food and not issuing a refund is theft. Melia Thomas echoed this sentiment, calling it theft to take back food already paid for and not eaten, suggesting that's why the police officer intervened for a refund. Francesca Waddell argued that missing items are a form of fraud, as charging someone for something not intended to be given is wrong. Rodney Edens, agreeing with Jeff Norman, suggested the officer's action was the most that could be legally done, asking for a refund, which is typically a civil matter for small claims court. He added that officers should not use authority to settle civil disputes.
All right. There's a lot in there. Not only the law, but this is one of my pet peeves, is how everybody, and it's probably, you guys probably are annoyed by this too, being cops or ex-cops, is how people jump to conclusions when it's so obvious that the relevant facts haven't even been presented. And then they start pretending they know the law. Somebody said, "Oh, this is fraud." Some others were saying the vendor stole his food because he wouldn't give it back to him. Another one claimed breach of contract. So was this? And by the way, I actually am willing to amend what I was arguing slightly. But before I say how, let me ask you guys. The meat wasn't hot enough. The chips were inedible, And so he gave it back to the driver, and the driver, or the truck.
Well, there are items missing too from the sandwich.
Yeah. And I found out. I actually tracked the guy down and interviewed him. The items were just like toppings on the sandwich. That's what was missing. So, and the guy didn't give him his money, so he called the police. Is that a police matter?
Well, I say we always come in to keep the peace, but that would be us for just shifting out to a civil. We would just advise them to get a hold of a civil attorney. We would not. I would never have taken that as a criminal theft case. That's for sure. I like the breach of contract stuff.
Yeah, right. Greg?
I would suggest to the vendor, in an effort to maintain his reputation, that he should probably be the bigger person and give the person a refund. And that would be my suggestion and nothing more.
What happened to Von's camera? Can you hear us, Von? His microphone is on mute and his camera.
We had a little bit of a coughing spell going. Okay, here we go.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if it was intentional or not. Yeah. Well, see, some of the, I'm trying to remember what was in this ridiculous thread. Oh, the guy claimed that when the cop showed up, he ordered the vendor to give him his money back. And I wasn't even there, but just by the way the guy was talking, he wasn't communicating. He wasn't a good writer. I don't think English is his first language. But everybody was believing. I go, the cop doesn't have the authority to order to him. I doubt he did that. So I asked the guy in the Facebook thread, did he actually order it? Did you hear him order it? Or did he just have some conversation with him and then the guy wound up giving you the money? And he claimed on Facebook that he heard the cop tell him to give him a refund. So anyway, I tracked this guy down because I have no life. And so here I am asking him that very same question again when I tracked him down. Here's what he says.
Came back, called me, go over to the truck. I was standing by my car. Called me over to the truck. He said he'll give you your money right now. And we went and gave him the money, and that's when started mouthing off again and cursing and stuff.
So the officer said to you, he'll give you your money back. Did you hear the officer's conversation with the guy in the food truck?
No, like I said, in the car.
So it sounds like you don't know whether or not the cop told him to give it to you, but he had some kind of a conversation with them.
Their conversation, my friend, like I said.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Right.
Like I said.
Yeah, like I said 3 times, like I said, he changed the story. So this is obviously it's a very trivial situation, but I'm emphasizing it because I just think it exemplifies how people say that ridiculous things. It's just obviously not reliable, yet the audience, the Facebook audience starts filling in the blanks and imagining things based on whatever their biases are.
Yeah.
That's what happens with the police videos, right? They show like an aggressive arrest, as if arrests almost by definition aren't aggressive, right? And you don't see any of the context, what happens, and everybody just like fills in the blanks themselves.
Well,
why am I more annoyed by this than you are?
The filling in the blank part?
Well, yeah, right. How people
because that's a Tuesday for us. Like that's every day for 30 years. I could try to find some old righteous indignation for you, but it's like
okay, all right, that makes sense. But
it's
in the big picture, it's small potatoes is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and where it gets frustrating even after the fact, and this is where we make our living, is not only do we not have the context most of the time, we spend a lot of our time investigating these cases to find what was the context from the perspective of the person using force, right? Whether it was a civilian or a cop. What did they perceive? Because it's not everything we see, right? Later. And what did that mean to them, right? 5 minutes before we start bombing.
Do you know anything about war crimes, Von? Is that one of the things that you have expertise in?
Yeah, I was an international.
This is a post from Marwan Ahmed.
So yes, I certainly have a good outline of the issues relative to war crimes, but it's not something I've looked at in a while. But
is this threat a war crime?
Is what?
Is this threat? Did you see the tweet or whatever we call this, the post from Trump today saying that civilization will die tonight? I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, but there are various people claiming he's threatening a war crime.
Well, there's an argument that you don't target civilian populations, right? That your military objective is going to be neatly tied and restrained proportionally to the military objective being served. Collateral damage relative to civilian populations is part of that assessment, so it's not de facto illegal if a civilian dies, even if the bombing's intentional. For example, if I've got a high value military target and there's civilians there, we will do a collateral damage assessment, and in that, or collateral damage estimate, based on the type of munition being used, what's the value of the military objective, what's going to be the collateral damage, whether it's to like a mosque next door, because you don't want to bomb cultural symbols, you don't want to bomb schools, you don't want to get civilians, but hospitals. But
so what actually happens, of course, matters. That's to be interpreted. But as far as the threat goes, I think this is so vague that it's probably not a war crime, because civilization has different meanings. One of the definitions of civilization is a way of life. So if he says, well, your way of life is going to end, that's pretty ambiguous, don't you think?
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't venture to guess proscriptively to assess the tweet of the president of the United States as commander in chief, but I do think there's it's intended for its rhetorical purpose. Obviously, it's a large anchoring statement, as Trump is known. If you've read Win Bigly by Scott Adams, who recently passed away, Win Bigly gives you a very good insight into what Trump is doing his talent stack, his persuasion stack is kind of unparalleled in our presidential history. Yeah. And so
I was a huge Scott Adams fan. I watched his show just about every day, as a matter of fact, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So if you understand that, then you see the rhetorical value. Now, he should be surrounded by people that he's bouncing some of these big, bold anchoring statements off of to see if it crosses a line. But I'm certainly not his advisor in that capacity. Right.
All right, we have a couple more videos. Let's just get through these real quick, and then we'll let you go to your event. This next one, I don't even understand what happened. So I want to just read you the caption under the video and see if you guys can spot the thing they're talking about. The caption under the video that I found says this: "Now this may sound like a whale of a tale, but we have the video to prove it. One of our officers reeled, in quotation marks, reeled in a subject by pretending to fish for him. Seriously, here's the backstory. The man took someone's phone and ran from the officer several times. Instead of giving up, the officer got creative, and well, you can see the outcome in this video. The man returned the phone and nobody was hurt, so we'll call this a successful catch and release." I looked at this like 3 times and I couldn't see what the hell they were talking about. Maybe you guys, you're smarter than I am. Here it is.
Come here. Come here. Let me try this. Let me try one more thing. This work is coming. One more. Come on. Come on.
Dude, are you serious right now?
Why you take go do his phone, man? Why you do me like that, bro?
I'm trying to get home. I'm sorry.
Can you guys see what the hell they're talking about?
Not really.
It seems real, though. I mean, if they're going to do something fake, you would make it visible. It seemed like the cop's partner was kind of mocking him. Could you tell, Vaughn?
Yeah, I mean, it's cops being silly. They don't get excited about the same things. None of us get excited about the same things the civilian population might, when you realize this is just normal day. I think he realizes the guy's too far away. He wants to talk to the guy. He's a suspect. He knows if he walks toward him, the guy's going to take off running. There's no sense in that. He's too far away. So he's playing games. He's just playing like this isn't going to work. But I think he's sort of just like, oh, maybe I could just throw a net. I'll just throw a fishing line and catch him. And of course, he's being silly. And then in this particular case, the guy probably is figuring, like, I don't know what you're doing, man. He walked back over and everything.
Oh, so he was miming it, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's why I couldn't see anything, because there was nothing to see. All right, I told you I'm an idiot. Now you have the evidence.
It did remind me. It was kind of funny. You do got to get creative sometimes when people like that. Your audience is probably not a bunch of people likely to run from the police, but we had a guy, and I was sitting there with one of my rookies, and we were walking in I don't know, it was like a street fair or something, and there was a suspect in front of us who we recognized, and I want to get close to him because, you know, the guy at that time, if I remember, was probably 40 yards away from us, but I'm like, there he is. So we walk in, and my rookie's like, hey, come here. Well, you know what I just said? Run fast. You know, I was like, what are you doing, man? We're 40 yards away. You don't. So I had to teach him some of our tricks, how you get them to get closer. And there's ways to do that. And they're fun ways. And you come up with creative ways. And if I'm looking for a young white kid, you know, who's 5'6" or whatever, and I'm getting close and I'm like, hey, did you see a guy run through here? And now he doesn't think I'm talking about him. And I'm like, yeah, he's about 6 foot tall. He's a black guy. He was running. And the guy's like, nah, I didn't see anybody. And you just kind of, as you get closer, you go, well, I'll talk to you then. You know, and then you're like, and then you're there. You can engage. So whatever it was, I think the guy just realized he's a veteran. And he's like, I ain't trying to chase this guy. Watch, I'll reel him in. And that's what he did. And it worked. So I'm going to try that if I ever get back out. So.
All right. See, this is an educational show. All right, here's another one. I also, there's one thing about this I don't understand. Maybe you guys can explain it. I bet you can. And this is our last video of the show.
I saw you run the stop sign back there. There's kids in this area running around. Sir, I'm gonna need you to hold this for a second.
Oh, what the fuck?
What are you doing? I wasn't done with you!
All right, so some kid threw a smoke bomb on the street there while she was dealing with...
Who was filming this?
That's my question.
Okay.
Because the cop car is behind her, so who the hell is filming it?
Is it a Tesla? Yeah.
What?
A Tesla. They have cameras.
What does that mean if it's a Tesla?
They have cameras in the side view mirrors, Jeff.
Oh, and this, then that's the answer probably. It's a side view mirror camera.
Yeah, but that's a handle. Doesn't look like a Tesla handle, but either way, yeah, it looks like there's a camera on the.
Yeah,
Vaughn. I think there's more than one vehicle out there now that offers that. I think Tesla might have been the first, but I think
is that the camera moving at the end there? It's moving now, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I wonder if he just has it on I don't know what he has it on. Yeah, but obviously there's a camera on the car moving with it, on or in.
Yeah.
Unless he's adjusting his side view mirror and it moves the camera for him. I don't know.
That cracks me up. So the question is, have we seen that before? I haven't seen that, but this multitasking, like you got to pick one. The idea that she turned back, hey, I'm not done with you yet, is cracking me up because she's definitely multitasking at this point.
The way she said it was as if the person was driving away, but the person wasn't driving away. So.
Not yet, no.
She just occurred to her that maybe they might, so she turned her attention.
Well, yeah, they were throwing down some obfuscation smoke, right? So that they could make their escape behind the cloud of smoke.
I don't know if that's a co-conspirator or just a kid pranking that's not really related to the driver, but anyway.
I don't know. They did remind me, though, had we done a call like this, I had a ride along from law school. I was still working as a cop when I was in law school, so I would take students out at night and professors or whoever wanted to come ride with me, so they had an idea of what real policing was like. And so I was telling them, like, we all know where crack houses are and where they're selling crack. So I said, here, watch, I'll show you. And I sat up in a parking lot, and here comes a truck with a tail light out and a tag light and no signal, all sorts of, traffic PC stuff. And I said, you see that house there? That's a crack house. And this lady was like, how do you know that? And I go, well, you see the guy sitting there in the shadows to the left side of the door. Yeah. I'm like, well, he's waiting for a car. We'll circle around the back and watch. He's hiding halfway behind the tree, halfway in front of the house. There's no overhead light. He's concealed. Just watch. He's selling crack. But we can't just walk up there, because all of this is just investigatory starting points, right? You note it. It's what's your baseline. Not reasonable suspicion at this point, but it's like has my attention kind of stuff. So truck pulls up with all sorts of tag light and traffic violations, and pulls over. Guy gets out, walks up to the guy in the shadow, gets back in his truck. Well, now I could pull the truck over because, one, I suspect he's buying dope, but that doesn't have to be my strongest one. He's got all these tag light violations and turn signal violations, all sorts of good reasons that are uncontestable I don't have to argue reasonable suspicion. I got PC. Well, while I'm up there talking to the guy in the truck, gunshots ring out, and I turn around, and two guys had come out of the alley, and they shot my drug dealer. They shot the drug dealer in the head and then took off running. Well, I tell the driver of the truck, who I stopped, I'm like, okay, you need to go. I take off after the shooters. Well, they get into a little hatchback, so of course I can't chase the car, although part of me, in my brain didn't know that at the time. So they take off. I got a good description. They take off, and I'm calling for backs, obviously. And I go back, and I'm talking to the guy in the who just got shot. He's walking down the street with a bullet to his head, and I'm like, hey man, you're hurt really bad. You got to stop. You got to lay down. I got an ambulance. He's like, and there's nothing tougher than a gangster who got shot. So he could tell about it, right? So he's just like, no, I can handle mine. I'm going to handle mine. He's being more colorful than me, but he goes, no, I'm going to handle mine. And I was like, okay, man. Now we can't force people to get medical treatment. So he can refuse medical treatment if he wants. I can't, I probably could have detained him for suspicion of selling dope at this point, but it wasn't my concern. And then he passes out, boom, on the ground. And now, as Greg knows, that's implied consent, right? So now I can get the medical guys in here, and I get to search him for their safety or pat him down, make sure. And but what I didn't do was tell the truck driver that I stopped, I'll be right back, you stay here, and then chase the guy in the hatchback, and then turn around and go, where are you going? I said, stay here. It's just, that would be too much. Maybe Greg could have done that. That was too much for me. So.
Yeah. The only thing I used to do, and not that I had anything like that ever happen, but I used to just say right away, give me your license, pocket the license. And then I always felt like, well, at some point this person is going to need that license, and then we'll reconnect if nothing else. But, that's if you're that far into the stop that you can actually do that. But I mean, that's a crazy story though.
At some point you gotta make a choice, right?
Yes.
It goes to the multitasking. We had a suspect in the back of our car one time transporting him to the jail, and an officer, we call it Dino. Greg, you might remember Dino on the radio. We're like, bah, 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 bah. And you're like, what is this guy? You can't hear him, like, bam, 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 bam. What it means is he needs help. That's what it means. And you hear him like screaming, and you hear Dino or Bam Bam on the radio, and you're trying to listen to what the heck they're trying to say. And then you hear, he's got my gun. So now I got a choice. I got a suspect in the back, and I can't really run lights and sirens with my suspect in the back, but I can't let the officer who's screaming for help a few blocks away. So you got to pull over. You got to take the handcuffs off the guy. And what are you going to say? Walk yourself to the jail or sit right here? And in that case, I said, I took the cuffs off because we're in a special relationship. If I leave the cuffs on and he gets hurt, that's on me. So I take the cuffs off. I unarrest him. I said, you're free to go. I need you to sit down on this curb. I didn't say you're free to go. I said, you sit down on this curb. I'll be back. Right. And so I got to run, and we're trying to figure out where this cop is. And sure enough, I find him. This was actually interesting because we can't hear him anywhere. And then I hear a gunshot, and he's pretty close to me. He's up in a driveway, really close. So I was almost there, but we didn't know where he was because his radio was detached. And plus he's fighting for his gun. So we later find out, gunshot goes off. He shoots the guy in the chest. We run around, me and another guy coming in another direction. We get there. They're still fighting over the gun. He shoots the guy in the chest, and the guy says, hey, you shot me in my chest. and the cop says, I'm going to shoot you again if you don't let go of my gun. This stuff is like playing out. So anyway, the short version of the story is we end up arresting bad guy. Good guy passes out after we get there with his gun in his hands. Like he's fighting for his life. So he goes out, and I tell the other guy, you go take care of him. I'll take care of the suspect. But it came down to that, again, multitasking, right? At some point, you got to make a choice. You can't do it all. I think she was correct in going after that guy who's throwing the smoke bombs, because while we think it's funny, in that moment, I wouldn't have thought it was funny. I would have thought it was a coordinated attack is what I would have been imagining.
And Vaughn, I mean, years ago, no kid in their right mind would even think about doing that.
No.
Because the ass whipping would never have been worth the enjoyment of throwing that smoke bomb.
Yeah. And I don't know the jurisdictions. There's probably plenty of cops who have had fireworks, or I don't know. But yeah, where I was working, everybody on both sides of the equation took it very seriously. They were not trying to pick fights with the police. Now, if you guys remember, Greg, you remember that our drug dealers, if they were doing a transport of large quantities of guns or drugs and that guy was getting pulled over, they would be on their phones and they would be calling in backup. So their buddies were like, hey, I'm getting pulled over and I got the stash, whatever it was. So they would come and interfere. They would ram police cars. They would speed really fast or drive recklessly to get your attention. They would definitely, had they had smoke bombs, I'm sure they would have thrown them. but they were very serious because they had to get us off of the mule. So we were always aware of stuff like that, but they took it very seriously. It wasn't
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
All right, we have breaking news. Will it shock you, gentlemen, if I tell you that the U.S. has not bombed Iran back into the Stone Ages? Would that shock you? Ceasefire deal.
Good.
There you go. Go. So wherever you're going, Vaughn, you can treat it as a celebration.
Well, I will treat it as about an hour of my time, and then I will be finding my way back to some state of zen before I have to get up early in the morning and do another presentation. And
your own version of civilization, so to speak.
Good luck with that tomorrow, Avon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's an important conversation, and I'm glad to be here. This is a good place to be. This place is Axon conferences are. If you haven't been to one, they are top of the line. They spare no expense. The entertainment's phenomenal. The exhibitions are top notch. They have amazing speakers here. They've got it is a very, very well run show. They take it very seriously. The Axon mission, their moonshot is to eliminate the gun, right? They want to get rid of the firearm, but they're not unrealistic about it. They're like, if you can come up with a tool that will allow officers to immediately and decisively stop the threat, even more successfully than what a firearm does, because we know firearms are notoriously inaccurate, or the shooters are notoriously missing shots.
The firearm's accurate, but the shooter's not.
Yeah, the firearm. but even wound ballistics, like how many times you shoot people, plenty of times, and they don't stop being a threat immediately. So they're trying to work on technology that says, look, I can increase your accuracy, I can increase your effectiveness, and I can reduce collateral damage, and I can decrease the permanence of the stopping power. And I've had these conversations. I'm like, Les, if that's what you can do, all of us are going to be behind that. But do not, I wasn't lecturing the guy. I said, our concern is that somebody's going to try to advance your technology before it's capable of reaching those levels. And we've given up our guns where the other side hasn't. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, absolutely not. I mean, they take it very seriously. They really want, while they have a humanitarian mission, mm-hmm. They have not lost sight in any way, shape, or form of the officer, the human behind that badge. So I love supporting them. I'm not a paid endorser of Axon. I'm just a fan. So it's good to be out here. But
yeah, give us updates on that when you get a chance, because that sounds fascinating, actually.
yeah, fantastic. Well, Greg, thanks for sharing time with me tonight. And Jeff, thank you for the invite.
Of course. And if people want to connect with you on social media, LinkedIn is the place, right?
Yeah, LinkedIn, and really just search for my name. Make sure it's I-B-4-E. I think I'm the only one there. So Vaughn Kliem, LinkedIn. Every one of you would love to connect with you. You'll hear my comments. I'll send out my writing. You'll know where I'm at if we get a chance to meet. Please say hi. If you guys have questions or you have comments, I love hearing them. That's how I learn. And people who know me know that I work really hard to be right. And part of that is because I talk to huge audiences who let me know when I'm wrong. So,
all right. So I'm reading between the lines. In other words, we're going to do a deep dive into the world of citizen arrests.
You know what? With even a day's notice, I could have been much more effective with this conversation.
All right. Well, the next time. And if people want to follow your organization on X, it's at For Science.
That's right.
But you yourself aren't active on X.
No, I for a lot of good reasons, I stay off all social media. LinkedIn's where I'm at. Everything I do, every word I say is subject to discovery. And I've been cross-examined on some weird things. So the fact that I haven't been on social media for a decade or longer is only a blessing. So
you don't waste your time like I do arguing about food vendors.
That For Science website is very impressive. I looked at it. It was very interesting.
Oh, good. And those articles are free. And if you guys want to see a history lesson of policing in the last 25 years, start at the beginning and just read through and kind of see what has survived over time, where we've changed, how we've evolved. There's some articles in there that, I've been cross-examined on some of those old articles. I'm like, I didn't write them and I wasn't around back then. So, but they're there for a reason. And that's because it serves as a repository of history of law enforcement and the issues we were facing. So, For Science News, it's free, sign up. And again, we don't shy away from the controversial issues. We take positions. I will just tell you, we're not biased towards any one side on any case, but we are 100% committed to this idea of honest accountability. You're not going to railroad any human, civilian or cop, who uses force. We're going to hold you accountable to the standards that you're applying, and that you never forget there's a human behind the badge. So that's
great.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaughn. Have a good time.
You, Vaughn.
We'll see you soon, hopefully. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, I let's see here. There we go. I like Vaughn, but I don't know if I like being the only person on the show with a beautiful full head of hair. You know what I mean?
Well, don't keep the audience guessing.
All right. There you go.
Wow, that's impressive.
But I like hats. I just like hats. Yeah, I can't help it.
It's got the George Clooney sort of look to it.
Yeah. There you go. That's what's going on under my hat.
Yeah.
I'm under oath. just like the woman in the car.
And you're dealing with the two bullet heads on the other side.
Say that again?
I said you're dealing with two bullet heads on the other side.
What does that mean?
Heads sort of look like bullets, the rounded sort of.
Oh, you're talking about ball guys. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. Let's take one more look at my beautiful head of hair. There you go. Damn, I'm good looking, aren't I? I'm in love with myself. All right, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Ask the Inspector. So we'll hear from Scott Ritter about the latest developments in Iran, and that's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And Thursday night, The Whiners. So join us Thursday night, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Thanks, Greg, and thanks to our beloved audience.
Thank you, Jeff, for hosting.
My pleasure du jour. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.